Welcome into another edition of DNVR Rams Live, presented by our friends at Branded Bills. Head to brandedbills.com, use that code BBDNVR for 15% off of your order. Hope everybody has had a nice start to their week. I like that little intro music we had going there, courtesy of our man Yaya behind the stick, setting the vibe right. We've got a lot to get into. I've got a lot of interviews to play with you guys. Caught up with 6 or 7 players yesterday. We're not going to have time to play every interview, although I will post all of those clips on social as well. So make sure you're following us on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, at DNVR_Rams. You can also follow me at Justin T. Michael. I did, before we got into the takeaways from the scrimmage, and I should add that it was not really a true scrimmage. It's not like they went live for the entirety of the event. There was some situational stuff. There hasn't been a ton of contact in camp, at least from what we've seen. That makes sense. You're trying to keep everybody up, trying to keep them healthy. But I just want to add that, like, it wasn't a true scrimmage or anything like that. Really, those don't exist in modern college football. There's elements of it, but it's just such a different preseason process. And even when I worked for the team, 12 years ago now, that makes me feel a little bit old. I saw my guy Tom Ellers at the field yesterday, former director of football operations, the man who gave me my start with all of this. So I doubt you're listening, but if you are, Tom, shout out to you. You are the man. Certainly always appreciate everything that you did for me over the years. Like I said, though, before we get into the takeaways from the scrimmage, we'll just call it that to keep it simple, before we play some of those interviews and stood out with some of those conversations with players on both sides of the ball, I did just kind of want to briefly revisit Tuesday's show based on some of the commentary that I got after the fact. I was with Kevin Lytle, and somebody reached out to him, and they were like, well, Justin says they're going to win 9 games. You said they're only going to win 7. What's the deal? And I just wanted to add, for clarification, 9 wins would be essentially everything going right for this team in a realistic sense. Like, obviously you could win 11, 12 games or something like that, do something we really have never seen CSU do. But to me, 9 wins would be, you won every game you should basically be expected to win. And maybe you dropped one that was kind of a coin flip matchup at some point in the non-conference or conference slate. I'm hoping to see them have a hot start in September. I've talked about it a lot. Jay's talked about it a lot. I really do feel like those UTSA and Washington State matchups in particular are going to be huge. I think, 4 of the first 6, I believe, are at home. So they've really got to capitalize on those games at Canvas Stadium. But I just wanted to add that I don't think you should go into this season viewing it as 9 wins or bust. I don't think that's the floor for this team by any means. I would hope that at this stage of the process, year 4 of this coaching tenure, 3rd-year starting quarterback with a lot of talent and athleticism on both sides of the ball, the floor at the very minimum better be a bowl bid. But as we've now said a million times, I don't think that simply scraping out a 500 season, eking your way into the Potato Bowl or something like that is going to feel like much of a win at this point. I really do feel like the expectations are fairly high at this point, just given, again, the context of being a 4th-year staff. At this point, Norvell's the 2nd longest tenured coach in the entire conference behind Troy Calhoun, technically Timmy Chang as well, although Norvell had a little bit of a head start on him just with that whole process. But I just wanted to add that, like, I think some people heard that and they were like, maybe getting a little bit carried away. If they won 9 games, that would mean they were winning the type of games that, if we're being real, have kind of slipped away from CSU the last couple of years, really much longer than the last couple of years, probably the last 20 years. But I do think like 7 wins is about where I would put the floor, or at least where I would hope it would be at this point, given that you have 7 home games. I think that's reasonable. You should always be expected to have success in your own building, and if you drop one at home, you've got to make up for it on the road. That's kind of the next step in the evolution. I feel like if they really are going to be a contender, the Rams have been drastically better in their building under Norvell these last 2 seasons than most of what we had seen throughout the history of Canvas Stadium. But you still look back to some key road games, Utah State in 2023, you're up 21-0, you find a way to blow that game. You lose, at Hawaii with a chance to play your way into the postseason. Last year it was certainly better, but you show nothing against Texas. And then even in some of those conference road games, like you did beat Air Force, that was definitely the best road win that CSU has to this point. But you go to Fresno and you blow that game, and then obviously you don't have any success in the bowl game whatsoever. I look at that San Diego State matchup. I look at the matchup with Wyoming. If you're going to be a true contender, those are the types of games you've got to win. And I think that the talent is there. I certainly feel like this team is capable of doing it. And I think, if you really got me going in a positive, ramble, I do think there's a world where you could see this team push for even like 10 wins if again, absolutely everything went right. But the history says that it's probably closer to Kevin's prediction of, like 7-8 wins, and that would still be a successful year. But it's going to be interesting. I don't think you can just put a number total on this year and have it be as simple as that was a success. Obviously, if you're winning 9+ games like that, that's going to be a successful campaign. But I don't think it's as simple as, being a 7-win team and making the postseason, and even with a trophy win. Like, I don't know if that would necessarily be enough meat on the bones at this point to satisfy CSU fans. I think this team has a lot of talent. I believe in Braden Fowler-Nicolosi probably more than the general consensus seems to at this point. But I'm cautiously optimistic. Is how I'm framing things going into this year. I think there's talent. I also think there's a lot of moving pieces. Completely new scheme on the defensive side. A lot of new players. Like, you see the athleticism, they pass the eye test that way, but how are they going to come together in a live game scenario at this point? It's still TBD. The other thing that I wanted to touch back on as far as my commentary from Tuesday's show before we got into this, I had actually more than one person reach out with a response to it, including somebody who I assume is in James Finley's family. I appreciate him reaching out to me. As I said to him, I think some of my commentary got misconstrued a little bit the other day when I was talking about Finley's role on this staff. I made a comment about him being more regarded for his recruiting prowess, and that, in my estimation, being more or less why he was brought onto the staff initially. I didn't say that to imply that he's not a good position coach or that like he doesn't do good work on the field. I think his resume speaks for itself at this point. The players certainly love him. I've enjoyed conversations with him. I really meant it more as a compliment, if we're being honest, because there have been, and not Savage obviously, but there have been some coaches in between, Alvis Whitted and Finley, and again, not Savage, but that I wouldn't say were the best recruiters. Like, to me, that's one of the most important roles in the job. But I just wanted to add that, like, I wasn't trying to say that he's not capable of working with the guys on the field or he doesn't help anybody develop or anything like that. He is an awesome recruiter, which is a huge advantage for the program, particularly with the ties that he has in Southern California. But I just wanted to add all that. We talked about a million things. It's a 60-hour show. It kind of got congested. Don't always necessarily make the exact point I'm trying to, or it doesn't always, come off the way I intend. What do we got here in the Toyota chat? Appreciate everybody rocking with us. CSU Ram T, shout out to Tyler Shannon. He says 8 should be the floor with a QB with this much experience. I mean, in theory, I'm with you. And again, that's why I lean more into the optimistic lens than the pessimistic lens, as I just feel like everything on paper says this team should be able to build off of what they did last season, which was an 8-win team. They made a bowl. To me, this year, getting to the championship game, winning your bowl game, that's kind of the next step in the evolution. At least that's what I hope to see. Josh says, speaking of the Potato Bowl, CBS Sports has us playing Ohio on the field of ice. That would be a significant bummer, especially if they were to like go to the Mountain West Championship and lose, for instance. Like, there would be potentially a reality in which you had to go to Boise between late and mid-December 3 times in a 5-week stretch. That would not be great. Regular Dad Bod says Gin and Juice Bowl would be fun again. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think the hope is to aim for more, for a New Year's Six type bowl. To be a part of the college football playoff would be the dream. But if you are going to end up in one of those middle tier bowls, I think you're hoping for something like the LA Bowl or the Snoop Dogg Gin and Juice Bowl out in Arizona, which was a great setting. The Pop-Tart Bowl, I don't know, just one where it feels like people are going to care. I have a soft spot in my heart for the New Mexico Bowl, but if you're in the New Mexico Bowl, that's probably more like a 6-6 season, which is not what any of us are hoping for this year. We are going to play a clip here of Jay Norvell after yesterday's scrimmage, and then I'll kind of get into some takeaways. We've got a great question about wide receiver 1 that I will get to after we play the video and after we have a quick break. But let's play this clip here. This is Jay Norvell after yesterday's scrimmage. Then I'll kind of talk about what stood out to me. We'll play some of those player interviews with Tommy Maher, who I've got really high hopes for. Owen Long is another guy who I think is going to make a major leap this season. Played well as a freshman late last year. And we'll get to know Tahj Bullock a little bit, who has an opportunity to be CSU's Taysom Hill this season, just kind of a jack of all trades. But here is Jay Norvell after yesterday's scrimmage, just kind of answering some questions about what stood out to him, what's he's seeing in camp and all that kind of stuff. All right, looks like we might be having some technical difficulties there with the audio. We'll play it in a sec if we can. I'll keep it rolling here. Maybe I'll talk for a couple minutes, then we can go to the break and we'll play the clip after if we have to. Our guy Yaya doing everything he can to make this work for us. Part of the process, baby. When you're doing an internet show, you never know. But Chum wants to know, who is wide receiver 1 and who do you think will be that guy this year if we were to have an NFL player? Oh, that's a good question. I think there's a lot of guys that have NFL potential as far as who is going to be the guy that would, maybe be in the 2026 draft range. Jacquez Evans comes to mind on the defensive side. He'll be a little bit older, but I mean, he's a guy that I've talked about could be in the mix for defensive player of the year in the Mountain West if things go well. I just think he's an elite edge rusher. They've got some athleticism at corner. Jahari Rogers comes to mind. He was a 4-star prospect coming out of high school, started his career at SMU. We actually played an interview with him the other day. Really enjoyed getting to know him a little bit. He's a guy who I think, particularly when you look at his athletic profile, it should, translate pretty well to the league. Jordan Ross is somebody who everybody speaks really highly of, maybe a little bit undersized in terms of being an NFL receiver, but everything else, the athleticism, the route running, the hands, all that type of stuff. I mean, he's a stud. The tight ends, obviously could be in the mix. Braden could be in the mix if he had a great season. He's got the athleticism and the arm talent to be an NFL player, but obviously needs to show some consistency and put it all together. Regular Dad Bod says O-line chemistry could be the key to some of those coin flip games. Lots of experience, graduated last year. That's a great point, and that's actually one of the things that I had in my observations. One of the things I asked Norvell about. Hopefully we'll be able to play that clip here in a second. If not, one of the things that I did ask him about was just the interior offensive line. I do have some concerns potentially about the chemistry of the interior O-line. I think losing Jacob Gardner last year was significant. I mean, obviously he's a 5th-year guy. It's not like he transferred or something like that. It's part of the process, but kind of came into camp thinking that Trevin Heel would be that guy. Still may be, but we have seen them do some tinkering with the O-line a little bit yesterday. Ader, who had been at guard, right guard a lot of the camp, he was playing center, so we'll see if that's something that sticks or not. There were some snap issues in the scrimmage yesterday too that definitely had me a little bit worried, but that was kind of the O-line they were rocking with yesterday. Big Ader at center, Tanner Morley at left guard, that's the same. Christian Martin at left tackle. William Wortman was playing at right guard with Ader sliding over to center. He came over from Central Missouri or whatever that FCS program was. He certainly looks the part physically. And then obviously Aaron Karras at right tackle. That's kind of where I have had it based on my observations right now. Josh says, starting O-line. I think the question really at this point is it going to be Ader at center or right guard? And, is Trevin Heel able to hold that starting role or not? I'm not trying to get too dramatic here because this is just, based on the observations from this week. We'll see what this looks like over the next couple weeks of camp. But that's kind of where I'd put my money right now as far as starting five goes, are those guys: Ader at center, Tanner Morley left guard, Martin left tackle, Wortman right guard, Karras right tackle. Although there's a couple other people who could potentially, play their way into that mix as well. We'll keep this rolling here. We do need to take a quick break and shout out a couple of our partners. I think we're going to be able to play that Norvell clip afterwards. If not, we'll improvise. But keep the questions and comments rolling. I appreciate everybody rocking with us on this fine Thursday morning. Let's shout out those partners, and then we'll be right back. Whether you need snapbacks, truckers, fitteds, beanies, or tees, Branded Bills has you covered. I've got a couple on the set here that they were super kind to send me. If you're looking for gear to make your brand stand apart, Branded Bills has you covered with the best custom headwear. Start your order and their dedicated team will help you create the exact custom apparel you need. They've got a partnership with CSU as part of their campus collection. I've seen a lot of folks on campus rocking the Branded Bills hats, and it's not surprising. They're comfy. They've got a variety of styles. I love that they've got a gold option. Don't see that very much. Head to brandedbills.com. Use that code BBDNVR for 15% off your order. Again, use that code BBDNVR for 15% off your first order. I also want to talk to you about Cake Mortgage. Cake is the business owner's home mortgage partner. What they do is specialize in non-QM loans. If you're a regular employee of a company, you get a W-2, your income shows on your tax return. That makes it really easy when you go to work with lenders for things like home loans, business loans, refinancing. It can be a little bit more complicated for business owners. By maximizing legitimate business deductions and expenses, business owners can reduce their taxable income, keep more money in the business, but that also means that their tax return shows little income. Cake can get business owners approved by validating your cash flow through bank statements, through certified profit and loss statements, or business tax returns. It's good for creative professionals, contractors, tech entrepreneurs, freelancers, anybody who kills their own meat. Head to the link in the description to get started. Cake Mortgage Corporation, equal housing lender, NMLS number 1734623, licensed in Colorado by the Division of Real Estate. Terms and conditions do apply. All right, let's see if we can play that clip of Jay Norvell here. And if we can, then we'll talk about kind of what stands out from that. And then we'll get on to some of the player interviews. But here is take two on Jay Norvell after the second scrimmage. Well, we're just going to move on. It's not happening. Hopefully some of these player interviews are able to work. If not, we're going to have a lot of time to kill. Josh says big offensive line, 6'5", 313 on average from what Justin said. I mean, that's definitely something that stands out as a whole throughout camp. The size of the guys in the trenches, the length and the athleticism that's present in the secondary, it's just on another level. Particularly, I keep saying particularly today. It's on another level compared to, when Jay came in, for sure. But I think, that was a big need, and it was a big part of what was holding this program back for a couple of years. And I say this with a ton of love. I know Barry Wesley really well, known the kid since he was playing Pee Wee football at 8 years old. But when Barry, who was a walk-on turned starter, was by far the star of your offensive line, that's not indicative of a program that is recruiting at the level that's necessary to be a true contender. And that was what was kind of ironic about the whole Adazio era, was that he was supposed to be this offensive line guru. And it always just made me laugh a little bit. And he did have some nice guys at Boston College. I'm not trying to be a total a-hole here and just be completely dismissive of anything that Adazio accomplished, because I don't like the guy, and I don't. But I think I could probably look decent as an O-line coach if I had the five-star guys in the trenches that they had in Gainesville, and Tim Tebow in the backfield, and Percy Harvin out wide. And, maybe it's all of the talent around you, and Urban Meyer, who has proven not to be the best dude, but obviously a very good football coach. Dan Mullen, a good coach as well. If what would those programs have looked like, without all that elite talent that they had to lean on? Well, we saw what it looked like at CSU under Addazio. He was a lazy recruiter. That was part of it. Hiring his son with zero experience to coach the position group, that was a red flag right off the bat. And the results were very predictable based on that whole setup. That first year, Jay loves to joke about this, but like he'd walk into that O-line room and everybody's smaller than him. Jay's not a small guy, former football player, obviously, but I mean, same deal. Like I'm a little bit taller than 6 foot, almost not quite 6'1". I shouldn't be eye level, with guys that are going to be starting for you in the trenches. That's just not an encouraging sign. And for a long time, that's just where this program was at. Some guys that stood out. Jalen Dupree looks really explosive. Again, you've kind of got to take all of the takeaways with a grain of salt. There's not a ton of full contact at the moment, but he looks lean. He looks explosive. He looks confident in that backfield. He told me yesterday that this is the healthiest he's been since coming into college. All of that sounds great. Joke the other day, but I could not have more Jalen Dupree stock than I have at the moment. Got a good question here from CSU Graham T. If Ader wins the starting center position, we probably have the largest O-line in the Mountain West. It's a great point. That's something I didn't think about either. He is a big dude. That's one of the areas that I've been most pleased with as far as signing guys out of high school, developing them, and having them translate. I think really on both sides of the ball with the offensive and defensive line, it's been the strong suit for the Rams under Norvell, and Bill Best deserves a ton of credit for that. But I mean, you look at Big Ader, Tanner Morley, these are guys who you brought into your program, Aaron Karras, coach them up, develop them, and now you're going to be able to depend on them. That is the most sustainable way to build a successful program. Like the portal's great. You can fill gaps. I think the secondary is a good example of that. If you're trying to do that year after year, it's just hard to hit. And that's not to say that you can't find quality pieces in the portal, because you absolutely can. There's also a lot of guys that are leaving because more or less they didn't get to play at their old school. And there are a lot of factors that go into that. Maybe the depth was just so insane. That could be the case for a guy like Kojo Antwi. There's 6 NFL receivers in there at any given time. It's going to be a little bit harder to get onto the field. Maybe you just need a change of scenery. There's the kid that went on to, I'm trying to blank on his name, that went on to Penn State, where it was a very similar deal. Highly touted guy coming out of high school, kind of gets lost in the mix at Ohio State, goes to Penn State, has an awesome year. Maybe that could be Kojo for CSU. But if you're trying to year after year depend on the portal to fill, the most important groups in your locker room, quarterback, offensive line, defense line, it's going to be a tough way to make a living. That's just how I feel about the situation. But I am intrigued by the guys that they've brought in, one of which is obviously Rocky Beers, who's looked awesome. Jackson Warren looks great. He looks healthy. He's moving well. He's not wearing non-contact anymore. He had about a 70-yard touchdown where Braden threw the ball perfectly, hit him in stride, ran untouched for 40 yards into the end zone. Maybe not the best play for the defense. It was funny. Evans, a.k.a. Donut, came running off the field afterwards, and he's just like, man, how did he get so wide open there? But it was encouraging just based on the connection between those two, how well he's running right now. He's a freak, man. If Jackson Warren even scratches the surface of what he's capable of, because Rocky Beers is going to be solid, I think all of a sudden this offense can reach a different caliber, and I'm really excited about their possibilities. I mentioned the O-line and hitting on guys, there. Some of the D-line guys, Jack Moran is pretty consistently running with the twos. I think we're going to see him quite a bit in the D-line this year. I am maybe a little bit worried about depth of the interior D-line. I think they've got a couple of guys that are solid. I think they're an injury or two away from being in a potentially kind of shaky spot. But I'm encouraged by what I'm seeing from young Jack Moran, and you always love when legacy kids are able to, play an impact for you. And then, finally, Isaiah Hankins. And I know I've talked about him a lot. I'm sure some people are rolling their eyes like, when is Justin going to stop talking about the damn kicker? He's the real deal, man. He told me yesterday confidently, his range is, 55, 57. Obviously, he'd be down to, attempt a 60 or something like that in game if given the opportunity. But you see it in practice. That's not him BSing or anything like that. And, Norvell said that he has the biggest leg of any kicker that he's coached so far. So, that's kind of saying something. Josh wants to know, how do you think the guys that left CSU end up doing? I saw that Chase Wilson is a starter at West Virginia. I mean, it'll vary, by guy. I think Chase Wilson will have a solid season, with West Virginia. I certainly wish him well. He was great to me throughout his time at CSU. Really good kid. I'm rooting for him. Some of the other players, I'm trying to remember where everybody ended up. I think the last I saw, Kershke was expected to start at Wake, but Newer was not. I assume Boom Jock will start at Cal. He's a stud. He's a tough loss. I think he was really just kind of scratching the surface there. Caleb Goody will play, just, when you have that kind of speed. I'm not sure if he's going to have the type of season he could have had at CSU. I don't know if he's going to be prioritized in the same way. Jamari Person at Liberty quietly might end up being the more productive player just because it's less talent to go up against. Not that that's not a program that's good. Obviously, they've been very competitive the last couple of years, but he didn't enter the portal with aspirations of ending up at Liberty. I can promise you that. And the fact that he fired his agent, who I kind of got into it on social media a little bit with that past winter, that kind of speaks for itself, if you ask me. We're going to get to these interviews here, I guess, if they'll play. We'll see. Let's see if we can do one. And if not, I will just keep them rolling, keep the questions and comments rolling, and we'll have some fun here for like another half hour. Can we play the Tommy Maher interview, Yaya? Is that one working? Oof, tough break. All right. Well, we'll see what happens here, because that's about 20 minutes of the show that apparently is just not going to work. It is what it is. Sometimes you have some technical difficulties. Sometimes stuff doesn't work out. Let's take a quick break. Let's regather. I'll post all these clips online, so I promise we'll get them out. I'm also going to write about some of them. We'll have to change the description and some of the stuff on the show since none of it is. Oh, wait.
Where do you feel like
we got Maher?
Most as a player?
I feel like I've definitely just gotten so much more comfortable with the game. I feel like it's slowed down just absolutely so much. I feel like I've been a lot better of a leader, just throughout the receiver room, just helping the young guys out, just with the plays and all that stuff, getting them implemented and stuff. So, yeah.
Obviously Torrey was a big part of this offense, big face of the receiver room for 3 years. Is it kind of weird now being one of the established faces and like going into the season, people aren't talking about Torrey Horton, they're talking about you and J. Ross and all these guys.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a privilege, and like it's a lot of pressure, but I mean, it's a privilege that a lot of people trust you. So you want to go out there and prove them right.
I just want to make sure I'm correct. You were a PWO, right?
Yes,
now you're on scholarship.
Yeah.
Was that kind of the vision when you came to CSU? Like, look, it's not scholarship right away, but we've got an opportunity for you, and we think it can work out.
Yeah, so when I didn't have much coming out of high school, I went to a really big school, St. John Bosco. Yeah. I feel like I was, super under recruited because we had a ton of guys. We were probably 5-6 receivers deep at all 1D1. And Coach Savage hit me up. He's now at USC. I'm super grateful for him, recruiting me, bringing me here. He told me that, it's going to be a PWO, but you're going to have a big opportunity to be on scholarship probably the next semester, and that's what happened. Came to fruition. Super happy it happened. Super glad I'm here.
Why do you feel like you were overlooked? Just so much talent on that team?
Yeah, I would just say there was so much talent on this team. My junior year, every single receiver in our receiver room literally went D1. It was ridiculous. But I would just say that, and I'm an undersized slot white receiver, so I would say that.
Did that light a, for lack of a term, fire under your ass, basically on the show then?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like I've always, had a chip on my shoulder, just going out there grinding each and every day and just being consistent.
All right, we got some of that in at least. I appreciate, I don't know what's happening behind the scenes, but it's chaos, and he's doing everything in his power to keep these rolling for us. Let's take a quick break. Let's regroup. We'll hopefully be able to play some of those other player interviews. Again, I'll get these all posted on Twitter. We might be able to get them uploaded on YouTube as well. Let's shout out a couple of our partners, take a deep breath, and pray to the content gods that the videos will work. Shout out to our friends at Game Time. Game Time's exclusive zone deals are the best way to get great options if you're going to the FIFA World Cup next summer. That'd certainly be cool. You can get 10% off exclusive zone deals for the FIFA World Cup matchups. Don't worry, if you're not, going to do something big like that, there are plenty of ways to take advantage of all that Game Time has to offer. They've got the best last-minute deals on tickets to everything, sports, comedy, theater, you name it, they've got it. The Game Time Picks curation function makes it easier to save on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, etc. They've got all-in pricing. They've got a panoramic view from the seat, so you know exactly what you're going to get. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the app, create an account, use that code DNVR for $20 off your first purchase. Terms to apply. Again, create an account, redeem that code DNVR for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. I also want to talk to you about Toyota, the official vehicle of DNVR. Trucks have always been a part of Toyota's DNA. For generations, Toyota's built durable legends destined for greatness and perfect for Colorado. Whether you're conquering off-road trails or hauling the weight of the world, there is a Toyota truck that's just right for you. Check out the Tacoma. Check out the Land Cruiser. They've got 17 models with available all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive like the Epic 4Runner. They also offer more low and zero-emission vehicles combined than any other automaker to give customers numerous choices to reduce their carbon footprint. 16 hybrid vehicles to choose from, like the Tundra iForce Max hybrid truck. Toyota SUVs take command on the road and on the trail. Toyota is a proud partner of CSU Athletics and the official vehicle of DNVR. Toyota, let's go places. All right. Josh says, still mad Denver didn't get any matches. Think I understand why, but still mad about it. I think there's some dynamics at play when it comes to soccer scheduling that aren't necessarily about like the city or stuff like that. I know based on the past, it seems like they try and avoid places where like Team Mexico's fans are going to take over. Logistically, it makes sense if you're the USMNT, but it just kind of stinks for Denver, which is obviously a great soccer city and certainly would have great attendance. And I think it makes for a pretty rowdy atmosphere. Sometimes not always the best dynamics at play going on in there, but that's what you want, right? Like the passion, you want people to care. Be pretty cool. Regular Dad Bod says, which interior group looked better during the scrimmage, O or D? Also curious about how the running backs have been hitting open holes and finding daylight. Again, like running backs are kind of a tough evaluation just because, there's not a lot of full tackling going on right now. It makes sense. You don't want to get guys hurt, but I don't necessarily know if it always gives the most accurate representation of who's winning those reps per se, if that makes sense, just because the defense doesn't really have a chance to finish the play. But Dupree looks awesome. Marshalls look good. When I've seen him out there, I think they're going to get Avant and involved. Honestly, like Keegan Hollis is a guy who always makes plays in practice when he gets a chance. I've liked what I've seen certain days from both groups, and we're not getting to watch every rep in practice. That's also an important distinction, especially like a lot of the live reps when they're going ones versus ones closer to a true live setting. A lot of the times we're not out there for that. Yesterday, to me, when the ones were out there, I felt like the offense, from what I saw, made more plays consistently. Maybe not quite as consistent when Brousseau and Curry were out there, but I liked what I saw from the offense yesterday, outside of some of the issues they had with snapping the football, and it was pretty consistent, and it was more than one guy, which made me a little bit hesitant, especially after coming on here the other day and being like, this is a 9-win team. If you're gonna have center issues, that could be something to keep an eye on. Could also just be a fluky thing that happened one day. We'll have to see. I don't want to get too over dramatic. Let's see if we can play the Owen Long interview. We'll give it our old college try. If we can't, we can't, and we'll move on. And I'll post all these on social, and we'll change the description and after the show and all that. I do apologize. I'm really thankful for our main man Yaya behind the scenes, who's been working. I know he's sweating up a storm trying to make all of this possible for us. So we're eternally grateful to him. let's try and play the Owen Long interview, and then we'll try and play the Tahj Bullock interview. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Keep the questions and comments rolling, and we'll just kind of improvise here for the last 20 minutes.
Your name's been thrown out a lot, going back to last winter as just a young guy who's really expected to, make a big leap. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely something that I've prioritized myself, and obviously every year just trying to get better and improve, and I feel really good with where I'm at and excited for the season, go contribute and be a part of this team and see what we can do. So,
how valuable was, especially the second half of the season where you were just getting a ton of playing time?
Oh, it was awesome. I mean, I thought my game plan going into every week was play so good that you couldn't come out and earn more time, and I really took a lot of pride in how I was playing, and thought I was playing good ball, and I mean, experience is something you can't replicate. So, going into this year, I really don't see myself as someone who's young and hasn't had that experience now. It's really just taking that next step, and being there for my guys, and just giving everything I got to go be a part of something special. So,
has it been a big adjustment for you? Just new scheme, new staff? Well, not entirely new.
I mean, to a degree. I mean, obviously you're doing new things and a new scheme. It's a different style of ball, but at the end of the day, I mean, football has its core principles, and I would say running and hitting and just going out there. I mean, the type of player I'd say I am is just someone that's going to give you everything he's got every play, and I mean, he's really just out there hunting. So, I mean, like I said, it's football. Things, your scheme's going to change, your coaches are going to change. It's just part of the game. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's a culture, it's a locker room that's going to come together, and whatever's not in front of us, we're going to go play hard. So,
who's impressing you in camp so far?
I mean, there's a lot of names that I could throw out there. I mean, obviously, my running mate next to me is Jacob Ellis, someone I think we're building a really good bond out there, and it's something that I'm really looking forward to taking the field with him. And then, of course, I mean, we've got a few corners that have been balling. Dylan Phelps at Stars been playing really well. And then, I mean, on the line, I could throw 9 names out there of some D linemen that have been earning their stripes. I mean, Gabe Jones, a few other guys have been playing really good ball. And like I said, I mean, I think just our product of 11 is going to be something that we're very, very excited about, considering that we're going to play as one. And I mean, whoever's out there is going to play hard, and that's kind of the style and the type of defense we're going to play. So,
how would you describe Tyson Summers' coaching style?
Coach Summers is intense in the best way possible. I mean, he's not gonna accept anything except your best, and I think that is something that players should be very, very excited to be a part of, because I mean, I can tell you, if you're not going to give your best every play, Coach Summers will point it out, and that's something that is going to drive each and every one of us. And I mean, just a defense as a whole, I think our effort, our execution, everything is so much higher because you are going to give your best, not so much for Coach Summers and for the coach, but just for one another. And that's something that he really is installing in us, is that brotherhood, to want to play together, want to play as one, and just build each other up. And I mean, like I said, it's scary when you get 11 guys that really just out there hunting and really want to take everything they can. So,
what's your perspective as far as the talent level of the offense? Because I guess one of the things I've said a lot, just to give you a frame of mind, is, well, maybe you don't have Torrey out there, but you look at the running backs, the tight ends, receivers, there's a lot of weapons.
Oh, the offense has been, I mean, that's the great part about being out here, is you get to go compete against these guys every day. And I'll tell you what, they're making us better as much as we're making them better, because there's some dudes out there. I mean, we got Jalen Dupree, Justin Marsh, a couple of running backs, Lloyd Avant, that just going out there every day. I mean, being a linebacker, that's something that, going against these running backs, you get a lot of experience with. And, I mean, I'll tell you what, that's good experience for me, and a couple guys that can just really just load the shoulder and, get you right. And then, of course, tight ends, you got Rocky Beer, Jackson Warren's been having a good camp. And, I mean, to the receivers, you got Tommy out there, J2, and, I mean, quarterbacks, the O-line play has been good. And, like I said, I mean, when you're going up against a high-level competition every day, it's only going to make us better, make us thrive, and just, we got to go out there and work hard, and I think it's good for both sides against each other.
Shout out to Owen Long, really articulate, humble individual. I always enjoy getting a chance to talk with him. It's funny, I believe he was the 2024 class a couple years back, but he was basically the last guy they took in that class, and he he very well may go down as the most significant signing to come out of that Colt group. I'm very high on his potential this year, and I've said it a couple of times, but I would be pretty surprised if he didn't lead the team in tackles, and if you looked up at the end of the year and he was not receiving some type of all-conference recognition. He's just a great athlete. He's rangy. The instincts are there. I think he's a star in the making, and I'm very excited about what he brings to the table. Another guy who I'm excited about what he brings to the table, kind of a jack of all trades on the offensive side, Tahj Bullock, former Virginia Tech and Akron quarterback, made more of an impact throughout his career as a rusher than a true passer. We're seeing him get put all over the place in camp. I mean, there are sets where him and Braden are both in the backfield at the same time. You can add all kinds of wrinkles on that. I think there will be instances in where they hand it to him. I think he'll take direct snaps, kind of basically like what Morrow was doing in those Wildcat scenarios last year. I think he's going to catch some balls. I wouldn't surprise me if you break out a couple of trick plays where you do have him throw it. Obviously, he has that QB background, but hopefully this one will work as smoothly as the Owen Long interview did. Again, so much thanks to Yaya behind the scenes, just working his ass off trying to get all these out to you. But here's Tahj Bullock, who might be the most interesting new piece to the CSU football program.
I had Jay on my show last week, and I was like, Tahj is everywhere. Is he going to be kind of your Taysom Hill? Is that kind of what was sold to you? Just come do a little bit of everything. You're a great athlete. We'll take advantage of it.
Yeah, no doubt. In my recruiting process, in the report and everything, speaking with Coach, I just thought it was just fit. I did a little bit of it at Akron, playing all over the place, had success. I just thought, me graduating and everything, last year coming up, see if I get a better opportunity for us to do the same thing. And, being here so far, like you said, being all over the place, it's been good. Trying to put the ball in my hands has been good.
Did it take you a while to, I guess, wrap your mind around that? Some guys, it's like, no, I'm only going to be a quarterback. Other guys, it's just, I just want a chance to play.
Yeah, that was the biggest thing. I told Coach that, I just want to play more than anything. Coming here, he gave me the opportunity. I don't see myself as putting myself in one box because I can do everything. So if I can do everything, give myself the best opportunity, go to the next level. Like you said, in that Taysom Hill role, if I'm able to do that, if I'm seen like that, just trying to get my opportunity more than anything.
Does it kind of feel like almost like youth football again? Like, man, I might catch it, I might run it.
I ain't gonna lie, it do for the most part. Back then you playing all over.
Yeah, you just do whatever. Yeah,
legit doing everything. So it's fun for me, being out there, being able to play ball, period, and being able to be all over the place. It's even more fun.
What stood out to you since coming to CSU? Like, how's life treating you so far?
Real good environment around campus, things like that. The team's been cool. Bringing me in with open arms. Everybody's been awesome so far. The environment's been awesome. I'm loving everything about it so far.
How's your relationship with Braden?
Braden, yeah, big dog. You gotta be cool. The whole QB room, not just B, but J, B, D, C, T, all the guys have been, bringing me in with open arms. It's been cool. Like I said, being all over the place I am in the QB room, but having that QB mindset, just knowing what everybody's job is, it helps me even more. Just know everything I gotta do.
Who's kind of stood out to you? Has there been anybody that's really impressed you this summer?
The entire camp, like offense or defense?
Yeah, just anybody.
My youngin' Chop and balling. He's been all over the place, doing the same thing for the most part. From a youngin' perspective, just every now and then I just give him some gems, things that I can. But he's impressed me for the most part so far.
Yeah. Did it take you, did the altitude bug you at all when you came? Everybody's different.
Yeah, for me, no, it wasn't too bad. Coming in the summer, it was cool. I would say I was trying to get my mindset right for the most part, so working on my own because, the little phase, you got to get all the medical paperwork and stuff like that done. So, in that little phase, I was working on my own. In my workouts by myself, I was probably feeling a little bit, but, once I got the team and everything, I was cool.
How would you describe yourself? Like, if someone was like, what does Tahj Bullock do for CSU? What would you say?
Tahj is a guy that you can depend on. He'll do anything for the team. He wants you guys to trust him. He wants to be around the guys. And he'll do anything to help the team win.
What needs to happen this year for you to feel like it was a successful season?
I want to win. Everywhere I've been, I haven't won as much as I would like to. I got my reps, playing other places as well, but I want to get on the field, I want to contribute to wins, and I want to win.
Do you get the sense that that's, common within the locker room? Like, it's not necessarily about individual 1,000 yards, this, that.
Yeah.
We got to win some games.
No doubt, 100%. I mean, I'm not focused on individual stats. I don't think anybody in the locker room feels that way either. I think we're all just trying to bring the camaraderie, around each other, and we try to get some dubs.
I mean, obviously, take things one game at a time. You can't look too far ahead or anything like that, but did seeing a school like Boise go to the playoff or compete? Was that part of, I can go to the Mountain West and I could play in the college football playoff if things go right?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, you're kidding.
I wasn't even looking at that like that for the most part. I mean, just coming here, the main thing, speaking of coach, speaking of Coach Mummy, Coach Holbrook, is just bring me in, just coming to not only compete for a position on the team, but help them win more than anything. I mean, of course, it'd be nice, getting that CFPB and play for a championship. But I mean, that's all I'm thinking about, just winning one game at a time, like you said, just win.
I got a bunch of different uniforms behind here. Which one do you like the most?
Yeah, I'll probably say the orange one. The orange one probably stick out the most one. I heard the state pride one probably put a little fit on for it.
They look good under the lights. The orange though, like you get it in the stands and everybody's orange, so it just, I don't know.
The effect of it.
It creates a pretty cool vibe.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Great to meet you.
Appreciate
Looking forward to the season, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Shout out to Tahj. I enjoyed my conversation with him quite a bit. A little bit of background noise. I'm sorry. There was a lot going on. There's like 15 different interviews happening around me. I had the best backdrop. I claim that uniform area, plugged the lights in. Really appreciate CSU football for an awesome media day. As we see in the Toyota chat here, can't wait to see Tahj play. It's going to wreck some defenses, I bet. And he's a great athlete. I think he's listed at 6'3", 225. He looks every bit of it. And again, I mean, I've seen him catch a touchdown in practice at this point. I've seen him rush for touchdowns. I think you're going to see him do a little bit of everything. I've even seen him, hold kicks at some point, which, then that opens up the possibility to run in a fake like he did against Middle Tennessee, where Pooler hit Holker for that touchdown. I mean, there's a lot of different wrinkles, a lot of different ways where you can get an athlete of his caliber into the mix. If we can, let's try and play the Jay Norvell clip just to give you guys an idea of what he felt about that second scrimmage, and we'll kind of talk about the football and basketball non-conference schedules. Keep the questions and comments rolling. Again, I will post all of these on social media. I apologize for some of the technical difficulties we've had, and I appreciate everybody rolling with us, being patient. I promise you nobody is stressing it in the moment more than me, and probably who's honestly the one who's doing all the work here. I just have to sit here and try and be pretty and ramble about football. But if we can, let's play that Jay Norvell clip and get an idea of what he felt about the second scrimmage.
With two scrimmages under your belt, what are things aspect-wise you've been really impressed with, and maybe some areas where you're hoping for a little more pick-me-up?
No, it was good today. We didn't go live, but we got a lot of game situations. Really thought it was cleaner. Not as many penalties, not as many foolish penalties, pre-snap penalties, post-snap penalties. That was very good. We really emphasized a lot of end-of-game situations. So some usual situations like 4-minute, 2-minute. We did overtime today. So just exposing our players to all the things that are going to happen at the end of games that we need to be sharp on to win.
One of the things you have stressed to your team throughout camp every day is we can't beat ourselves. We got to play clean. Are you seeing the steps in the right direction you want to see them?
Absolutely. And we're really putting pressure on some of our younger players, our backup players, that are going to have to execute to help us win. They're going to be in roles where they're going to have to play for us, and we want to see them execute, perform, and practice. So putting pressure on them.
Jackson Moore, obviously you were really high on him last year before the injury. What are your hopes and expectations for him this year now?
Really excited about Jackson. He's a big, tall guy, big 6'8" tight end that can run. He's got good hands. Really made an impact in the passing game. So I just think we're really excited about him this fall.
Jacob Gardner was obviously a big part of this program for a long time. Just what are you seeing from the interior offensive line right now?
Yeah, I think the big thing is that we lost two really physical players in Gardner and Moss. Moss is doing a great job with the Niners right now in camp. And I think the biggest thing is that temperament. We gotta really take that temperament to heart and make sure that the guys on the field are playing with that same kind of temperament we played with last year. So I think we're just as talented. I just think we got to have that same edge as we play.
A little nasty? Is that
Yes,
what
sir.
you're talking about?
Yes, sir.
You talk about nasty. Who's picked up the leadership defensively?
Yeah.
So many veteran guys in, out, and some new guys here.
Yeah, I would really think Jaquez Evans, Donut, and Mukende. Both of those guys are kind of old timers. They played a lot of football. They really care about the program, you know. And Donut is a newcomer, but he's a veteran guy that's played a lot of football and done a great job of leadership. So really proud of them. I'm really proud of Owen Long. Owen Long has all the qualities that we're looking for in a leader. He's a young guy, but just a high level character and extremely tough.
You mentioned somebody like Owen, so you'll have team captains, maybe 6 out in front. But how important is it to have leadership in rooms, guys that might not be quote unquote team captains, but are leaders in the rooms, in their classes?
Yeah, we'll have seniors and we'll have guys that are leaders in every room. And, they're all responsible for our production and for our output, and leadership has got to take the bull by the horns and really take the team when we're not executing or firing all cylinders. They got to get us back right. So we've talked a lot about that. I'll probably have to give my Bill Russell speech today, but on captainship and leadership. But that's important that they understand that the leaders care mostly about the team, and they're willing to do what it takes to get the job done.
Along those lines, what do you see out of Braden in terms of leadership and what he's brought for you?
I think Braden has had a great camp. He's really matured. He spoke to the team the other night, and his points were really well thought out and very mature. And I think that's a great thing for the Rams. I mean, he's a guy that's played a lot of football. He's got a chance to be the all-time leading quarterback here and wins. And so he's really taken the bull by the horns. He knows the offense completely, really going through these situations. He's on top of all of them. Just really proud of his progress.
He's obviously matured. How about your relationship with him through these 3 years?
We still have, no, I'm just playing. No, we got a great relationship. One thing I always told Braden is that there's no secrets between the head coach and the quarterback. I mean, we know how hard his job is, and we want him to understand everything we're trying to do, and we're trying to prepare him the very best so he can go out and play. He's got the hardest job on the field, and so we want to help him be as productive as he can be. So our relationship's great.
How big was adding Hankins to pick off where Noyes left off at the kicker spot? I have some experience there.
Been so impressed with him. We put him in a lot of end of game situations. He's got a really live leg. He's probably got the strongest leg of any kicker I've ever had. Just natural pop, and he's very confident, very comfortable, and he's shown that in those situations. And so we're very.
Big shout out to CSU Football for an awesome media day. A lot of great access. I'm glad we were able to play some of those clips for everybody. Nick says, missed the first part of this, but glad things are looking good. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid again. Honestly, you missed some technical difficulties. So probably better that you came in the later stage of the show. Anyways, I mean, admittedly, there's, and I've talked about this, I think I mentioned this specifically after the bowl game. I do think collectively within the fan base over the last 20 years or so, there's a bit of feeling like Charlie Brown running up to kick the football. And every year we tell ourselves, Lucy's not going to pull it away. This one's going to be the one that's different. Only to end up on the ground, shaking our head, wondering why we ever thought it could be. I think that's just part of being a sports fan. It's a sentiment that I've written about, that I've rambled about, I've tweeted about. But the reality is that sports are mostly heartbreak. But that's also what makes it feel so good when they finally do break through. And I know that last season didn't end the way that anybody was hoping, but from an objective standpoint, it very clearly was a major step in the right direction. You win 8 games for the first time in over a decade. You win a couple of those trophy games now. That needs to be the floor. We need to see them build off of it and go on to do even more. And I think they have the pieces in place, at least on paper, to be that type of team. That means CSU has to find a way to get out of their own way, which historically has not been their strength over the last couple of decades, really the end of the Lubick era on. But there's no reason to believe with what this team returns, with the talent that they've been able to add through the portal, the investment that they've made within the staff. I mean, it's night and day from, I mean, even 5-6 years ago, but certainly, you know, when I was working for the team, you go out there and there's 100 dudes, it feels like, out there working on the staff in some capacity, whether they're, you know, a position coach or a GA or, you know, some type of special assistant. Like there's been so much put into this program, and it really does feel like this is the year. Like you have to capitalize on it. You have to establish some momentum going into the Pac-12 era. You don't want to just be limping in something like that. And it's fun. It's exciting. It also does open up the possibility of, again, the Charlie Brown scenario and us all feeling hurt at the end of the year. Like that's the tough part about having expectations. In some sense, it's easier to be like a Rockies fan this year or something like that, where you just know there's no logical route in which this team is going to figure it out. But we'll see, man. If this team ever does finally break through, it sure would be a lot of fun to get some momentum here going into the Pac-12 era. Ben wants to know any updates on game day happenings from Weber. Nothing new that I know of. I know they're going to try some things. I don't think that they're going to bring back the battering ram thing. I think that was a great idea. I'm glad that they tried it out. Turned out to be pretty tough to pull off execution-wise. It was just so big. It didn't look, I think, like everybody envisioned. Again, I applaud them simply for trying. Like for so long, the approach from the administration was just, oh, shucks, what are you gonna do? You know, little old CSU. Don't ever have any hope. Don't strive for more. Just we're little old CSU, and you should accept that. And that was ridiculous. I like that they're trying things. I like that they're shaking things up. I know they're talking about, you know, doing the 2 claps and a Ric Flair woo like within the stadium on third down. That'd be kind of a cool little thing if you could make it a tradition, as long as people participate. That's the tough part about these types of things, is when you're winning, when you're rolling, it's easy to get student engagement and fan participation. When fans are leaving at halftime, it's tough to pull those off. And then you end up with like a Canvas Chaos scenario where we see this really sweet light production. Boy, is it neat, but it's in front of 4,000 people and you're losing by 30. It ends up ringing a little bit hollow in the end. So I know they'll try some things. I am excited to see about, you know, what they pull out. I'm hoping, you know, maybe we'll get like a new alternate uniform or something at some point. That'd be kind of fun. But ultimately, like really what needs to happen is just win. If you want Canvas to be a better atmosphere, you want it to be the type of, you know, program we all envisioned, it really just stems down to winning. Like it's fun to be at the games when they're winning, and it's not very much fun when they're losing. Sometimes we try and make this more complicated than it is. If you missed it, I think it came out yesterday, but I got the press release this morning. CSU football schedule update. The New Mexico game in November is going to be a 1 p.m. kickoff. It's going to be televised on Altitude. If you remember back when they announced that they were taking the UNC game, I said I expect them to pick up at least one more game, potentially 2. I thought they'd also pick up the Hawaii game. Sounds like they're not going to. That's going to be on the Mountain West Network. But 11 to 12 games will be on, you know, some form of traditional cable, and then the Mountain West Network for the Hawaii matchup. I'm surprised Altitude didn't just pick it up, just because it should be 2 bowl teams. The crowd should be awesome. You know, it's going to be homecoming, so I was a little bit surprised that one didn't get picked up. But a 1 p.m. kick in Albuquerque is perfect, especially at that time of year. You know, Albuquerque doesn't get quite as cold this here, but it certainly gets chilly at night. I think that should be a fun one. Obviously, hopefully they'll keep that winning streak rolling. The non-conference schedule is out for the men's basketball team. We can run through it real quick. Not super thrilling, but I also think a very approachable, manageable schedule for year 1 of the Farokhmanesh era, which makes sense. You don't want to shoot yourself in the foot. If this is the scheduling philosophy 2-3 years down the line, then, you know, I'm going to have to question Ali on it a little bit, but I totally get what he was doing this time around. November 3rd, that'll be the season opener. You have an exhibition on the October 25th against Creighton, but open against Incarnate Word on the 3rd. Nebraska, Omaha on the 9th, Cal Poly on the 12th. November 16th, you'll play the only true road game of the non-conference slate at Loyola Chicago. It's a solid matchup. DU comes to Moby on the 21st, and the battle for Atlantis over Thanksgiving, where they'll play Virginia Tech and either Wichita State or St. Mary's. The third opponent is TBD. Then they'll come home and wrap up with CU and Moby on December 6th, Dartmouth on the 9th, Northern New Mexico on the 14th. I do think they tried to find one more opponent that was more on the like St. Mary's scale of level of competition, and they had some trouble making it work logistically. Admittedly, I've never heard of Northern New Mexico before. So there are some landmines. Like obviously you're going to have some success in that non-conference slate if you want to put yourself to be in position to push for an at-large bid, outside of winning the conference again or something like that. But you've got to have some success, and the battle for Atlantis is going to be huge. Obviously, you got to basically run the table at home. A road win over Loyola would be nice for the resume. Josh wants to know, does Spectrum have the rights to any nationally televised Hawaii game? Is that why Altitude didn't get it? That's a good point. There could be some weird media rights wrinkles in there that are not in the process. Nick says, I went to Wisconsin for grad school, and it's interesting to see how long sustained winning translates into tradition and crowd participation. It's one of those things that comes with on-field success. Exactly. Like you can try 8 million things, but if you're not winning and the game's over, halfway through the first quarter, it's tough to be engaged for, the little traditions you want to do. Joey says, I saw Justin do 2 claps and a woo when he shotgunned a PBR at the Ram Nation tailgate back in the U Stadium lot. I can't confirm or deny that. You'll have to speak to my people. I got a reputation to uphold these days, Joey. The Atlantis Hoops tourney, some strong programs in that nice tourney for CSU to be in. I'm looking forward to it. If I'm going to have to miss Thanksgiving with my family like I do every year, part of the process, not trying to whine. It is what it is. Let's at least get some entertaining games. I'd like to see an Air Force win, and I'd like to see a couple of quality resume builders for the Rams. I'm looking forward to it, though. I'm really excited to see what that basketball team can be, and I think it's pretty obvious. Ali's my guy. I'm very much rooting for him and excited to see him get that opportunity. Shout out to everybody for rocking with us again. I apologize for some of the technical delays. There's nothing we can do about it. I'm so thankful that we had Yaya here behind the scenes. If it was just me, I would have panicked and probably just ended the show. I wouldn't have even know what to do with myself. Just go full Ricky Bobby. I don't know what to do with my hands. My computer's not working, but we made it work. We persevered. Make sure you're keeping up with all the written content. Become a diehard if you're not. We'll have fun opportunities this fall. Much love, y'all. Thanks for listening to the DNVR Rams podcast presented by Branded Bills. Head to brandedbills.com. Use that code BBDNVR for 15% off of your first order. Always proud to be y'all. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.